when they graduate is one of the final things that they do is they jump in fully clothed, and they have to turn over, roll over on their back, and actually be able to scream for help at that point in time. It's just an awesome segment program that leads right into our Learn to Swim program, so that way we can make sure we're keeping our kids safe in, on, and around the water.
Oh my gosh, this is gonna be great!
So I always get very excited when anybody asks me about my job and where I work and what I do. It's not a secret that I love working for the city of Northport. I worked for Charlotte County, and I felt that I needed to do something different, and I wanted something more, and I wanted to offer my skills. So I said to my friend, I don't know what to do, and I was thinking about my next steps, and she said, Maria, did you think about applying to a job at the city of Northport? They have a different vibe here, and she said, I'd love it. And I said, oh, I didn't think about that. So I applied, and I started my first position in planning and zoning in our development services department. I'm partnered with the building department because the fees are assessed off of the building permits, and it's strictly for new construction, new development. And the first thing I do is to check the spreadsheet, to look at the permits and determine which ones need to estimate their impact fees. And that's where I start with that. Then I go to numbers that I have to put together, and I put together the invoices for our developers. Oftentimes I'll get phone calls to give quotes before the development comes through, and so developers want to know how much they can budget for. So sometimes I put through proposed estimates to help them with that. And the bulk of it is making sure that the fees are in the system as fast as possible. I love the esprit de corps that I experience, just how everybody teamwork together. I enjoy knowing that I can make a difference for the city and that my position can have a positive impact for our city.
Oh, you're swimming in the pool?
I'm Stacey Locio. I'm the Emergency Management Coordinator for the City of Northport, and we're going to talk about why it's important to have a go kit and what should go inside of it. It's important to have a go bag because if you wait last minute to pack, there are definitely going to be items that you're going to forget in the scramble to get everything put together. So it's important to have your documents such as IDs, insurance paperwork, titles for your home and your vehicles and your boats, just so that if your home does flood or your roof blows off, all those documents are with you and they're safe, because you don't want to end up losing those and having to try to replace those later on. Also in your go bag, you should think about what medications you might need to have ahead of time if we're under.
Good evening, everybody. Today's Tuesday, March 18th.
Where did that come from?
Where did that come from? It's 6, is it going to be one of those nights? It better not be. It's 6 p.m. We're in the city chambers, and I call the city commission regular meeting to order. Commissioners present are Commissioner Val, Commissioner Langdon, Mayor Stokes, Vice Mayor Emmerich, and Commissioner Petro. There's a quorum present for the meeting. Also present, City Manager Fletcher, Interim City Attorney Golan, City Clerk Faust, Board Specialist Lane, Fire Chief Titus, and I can't tell who's back there from the police. Commander. All right. And let us see. Base, you want to lead us in the pledge?
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Need a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
We got a motion by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Commissioner Langdon to approve the agenda. Let us vote. And that passes 5-0. City Clerk, public comments.
Rowdy Oleander.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. I am Valdi Olander, uppercase V, lowercase ALDY, uppercase O, lowercase LENDR. I am not a corporation. I came here in peace, and I am not a criminal. I have a dignity. Please respect my dignity. Folks, I am instructing you to remove policemen off my back and let them sit over here. Okay. Stop assaulting, stalking, intimidating me, Stokes. Obey you old Stokes. I am waiting. There is no consent to your behavior. I am instructing you, Stokes, to write in an authority and sponsor to every item on the agenda. You have 8 legal department's workers. They should have the time. I am instructing you all to reduce millage rate for fiscal year 2025-26 to 3 mills. For the past 10 years, I am advocating to reduce millage rate to 0 on the property taxes. Finally, Governor DeSantis, hear me in his dreams, and advocating to abolish property taxes for good in this Florida legislature session. Let me address state economy on the national level. According to Federal Reserve Bank of New York, total household, which is 2.6% in the United States, debt now stands $18.04 trillion. In it, credit card debt is $1.21 trillion. Credit card default reached 50%. Student loan, $1.62 trillion. Car loan, $1.66 trillion. Mortgage balances, $12.6 trillion. 47% of households live paycheck to paycheck. City of Northport Corporation offer city water hookup in 30 years plan payments. Are you kidding me? Why we are so poor and you pushing us more and more into that?
Thank you, sir.
That's all there.
Announcements, City
The current vacancies for the following boards and committees include the Art Advisory Board, Auditor Selection Committee, Charter Review Advisory Board, Citizen Tax Oversight Committee, Environmental Advisory Board, Firefighters Pension Trust Fund Board of Trustees, Historic and Cultural Advisory Board, Joint Management Advisory Board, Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, and Veterans Park Advisory Committee. Sarasota County Advisory Council vacancies include one resident in Northport to serve on the Citizen Advisory Committee. If anyone would like more information, please see the city clerk's office. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Moving on to the consent agenda. City Manager, any items been pulled?
No, sir, Mr. Mayor.
All right, any public comments, City Manager?
There is none.
All right, I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make it. I move to approve the items in the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Got a motion by Vice Mayor, seconded by Commissioner Langdon to approve the consent agenda. Let us vote. And that passes 5-0. Moving on to public hearings, Resolution 2025-R-13. This is a quasi-judicial hearing. City Clerk, should read by title only.
Resolution number 2025-R-13, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Northport, Florida, vacating the rear utility and drainage easement for lots 11, 12, 31, and 32, Block 1438, 29th addition to Port Charlotte subdivision, providing for findings, providing for recording, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. Can everyone wishing to provide testimony please stand and raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge, so help you God? Thank you.
Thank you, City Clerk. Commissioners, ex parte communications, Commissioner Duval.
I spoke briefly on this topic at my agenda briefing, and I'll ask a question that will make that conversation clear when we talk about this subject.
Yeah, I've been plenty of
Certainly can.
getting that my one-on-ones with the city manager are considered ex parte. And I also did have that conversation with the city manager.
Gotcha. Commissioner Petro.
Yes, I have discussed with the city manager some details of this resolution at my agenda briefing.
Vice Mayor.
No, I have none.
I think we just touched on it at my briefing as well, so other than that, nothing. Any aggrieved parties, City Clerk?
There are none.
There are none, so we move on to presentations. Applicant, you got 20 minutes each.
I'm William Swartz, and I've been sworn.
I'm Jamie Swartz, and I've been sworn.
So we're trying to put a pool in, but we're trying to do like a backyard area, covered area, and it's pushing the pool toward into the easement. And that's why we're requesting to vacate the easement. We didn't even know it was there until we got the survey. We knew the side easements were there. And now it's kind of, confining the whole vision of our backyard area. That's kind of what we're asking to vacate it for.
So we have 4 lots.
And unfortunately,
and they
we have
abut
4
each other.
lots, so we were just trying to vacate the whole thing, while we're doing it.
If we don't vacate any of the easement, then the pool is going to be really close to the back of the house. It's going to kind of be like you're walking out into the pool.
Yeah.
So we wanted to push it into the easement a little bit so it goes along the back of the house, kind of from side to side, and then just into the easement a bit so that we can walk all the way around the pool. And that easement, like I said, we didn't know it was there, so that's what we're trying to do.
Unfortunately.
Thank you.
Is that it?
Is that it? Good.
Okay, good evening. David Brown, Planner One Development Services, and I have been sworn. Today, we're here to talk about 4555 Belladonna Avenue, which is a vacation of the platted rear easements. This is being done via resolution number 2025-R-13 under vacation number VAC-24-174. The applicant is William and Jamie Schwartz, and the property owner is William and Jamie Schwartz. And the applicant is requesting to vacate the platted rear 10-foot utility and drainage easements in order to construct a pool and deck. The location is 4555 Belladonna Avenue with a parcel ID of 0956-14-3831. The applicant is requesting to vacate the platted rear 10-foot utility and drainage easements in order to construct a pool and deck. The 4 lots have been combined through the unity of title process, which was done under ORI number 2024-12-2081. And that was in order to facilitate the construction of the pool. The total combined property size is 39,979 square feet, and the total area easement to be vacated is 2,960 square feet. On February 6, 2025, the Planning and Zoning Advisory Board voted 5-2 to recommend denial of this petition. The following agencies have reviewed the request to vacate the platted rear 10-foot utility and drainage easement, and through written response have granted their approval. No issues or concerns were raised regarding the request. And there's also a note that it says the Development Services Department standard practice is to consider an easement vacation uncontested if the utility agency does not respond within 10 days of notification. The vacation easement was reviewed and approved by staff for conformance with the Florida Statutes, Chapter 177. The vacation of easement was reviewed and approved by staff for conformance with ULDC Chapter 53 zoning regulation. Worth noting that this was reviewed under the previous code. The Planning and Zoning Advisory Board, my apologies, the Planning and Zoning Division recommends approval of petition number VAC-24-174 via resolution number 2025-R-13. Thank you.
All right. Any rebuttals?
No rebuttals.
Okay. Staff?
I have no rebuttal.
All righty. We have no agreed parties. Any public comment? Commission, questions, discussion? Commissioner Duval.
Yes, I did speak about this, as I said, with the, in my pre-job brief with the city manager and staff. And Public Works is for this. Utilities said yes. It is 4 lots. It's not intruding on anybody else's property. And for that reason, I'm for this.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Langham.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Staff, why did PZAP deny this request?
Most of what they were looking at is they were thinking there was other options, as in like moving the easement. But it's worth noting that we do not have a locate or relocation of easement process. So they have to vacate or re-record if they were going to try to move the easements.
So move it somewhere else
on the property. Mm-hmm.
Why would they want to do that?
I cannot speak to that.
Okay, so it didn't come up in their notes or anything like that?
No. They just said they thought there was other alternatives.
Okay, thank you. Just in my conversation with staff, I was questioning why this was even coming before the commission, you know, at this point. And so I got an answer for that. But I agree, it's so refreshing to have residents come before they construct.
Yeah.
To get the approval. So often it's like, whoops. So I applaud you both for working the process the correct way. Just from my own point of interest, what are you planning to do with your back, those back two parcels? Why did you acquire them?
Well, so we're going to put a pool in, but our house is kind of small, so we wanted to do an outdoor covered area off we closed our lanai in for a dining room, so then that was going to put the new covered area out further, then that pushes the pool out into that easement more.
Right.
That's in the back, which, like I said, we didn't even know it was there until we got the survey, and it's like, oh, there's an easement there. You know?
Right, yeah, you wouldn't.
And then we're like, well, we've already kind of designed, my son-in-law owns a pool company, so we kind of went through the design process before I, got the cart in front of the horse a little bit with that. But that's what was happening with it. So.
Okay.
And I wanted the 4 lots because I grew up on a farm in Ohio. So I like to have a little bit of
She likes
space
the
around
area.
me. I'm not really used to having houses like right on top of me. So I kind of like just fenced in backyard for my dogs and, privacy.
Yeah. Good for you. And thank you
Thank
for
you.
getting permission before
Yeah.
and not a whoops. And not required, but if you were also planning to leave some trees
Oh,
on
definitely.
those back properties,
That's,
I
that
yeah.
would
won't let
make me
anybody
very
touch
happy.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Okay.
Our plan is to do some forestry mulching, but we're going to try to leave most of the big trees up in
That'll
the
be
lots
great.
over there.
That'll be great.
That's our plan.
Thank you both.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I'm in, so this is a no-brainer for me. This is, yeah.
Commissioner Petro.
Steph, in your presentation, you said there's a note that the utilities companies have 10 days to respond with. Did they respond or how, if they know?
Well, it tells you in the presentation, if it says none, then they didn't respond.
They
All the
did
other
not
ones that
respond.
say approved are ones we've got responses on.
Yeah, I have no problem granting the vacation. It's, you own 4 lots, so
Yeah.
more the better.
Yeah.
All right. Seeing nothing else, we're on to closing arguments. Agreed parties, or no agreed parties. Staff,
Sorry, step right in front of you.
I just respectfully request that you approve this petition.
thank you, sir. And applicant,
And so do I. Appreciate it, if you would. Thank you.
thank you.
That was quite an argument.
There we go. With that, I'm going to close this public hearing and request a motion.
I'll make it,
Okay,
Mayor.
go ahead, Barb.
I move to approve resolution number 2025-R-13 as presented.
Second.
We've got a motion by Commissioner Langen, seconded by the Vice Mayor to approve resolution number 2025-R-13 as presented. Nothing else to that. Let us vote, folks. And that passes 5-0.
Thank you, guys.
Congratulations, good luck.
Congratulations.
Moving on to B, resolution number 2025-R28. City Clerk, would you be kind enough to read by title only?
Resolution number 2025-R-28, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Northport, Florida, appointing James Toll to the position of hearing officer with the authority to hear and decide matters related to enforcing the city's codes, as well as zoning-related matters, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Thank you, ma'am. City Manager, your item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Due to information we received on the appointing Mr. James Toll, we're asking that we continue this item to the next meeting.
Righty. Any questions, commissioners? Everybody's good. Public comment?
There is none.
Then close this hearing, request a motion on this.
When is the next meeting?
April 8th.
I move to move this resolution to the next meeting on April 8th, 2025.
Second?
Got a motion by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Commissioner Langdon to postpone this item to April 8th, 2025. Let's vote. And that passes 5-0. Moving on to ordinance's first reading, D ordinance 2025-10. I need a motion to direct city clerk to read by title only.
So moved.
Second?
Got a motion by Vice Mayor, seconded by Commissioner Langdon to direct city clerk to read by title only. Let's vote on that. Commissioner Duval.
Sorry about that.
Not a problem. And that passes 5-0. City clerk.
Ordinance number 2025-10, an ordinance of the City of Northport, Florida, amending the Code of the City of Northport, Florida, Section 26-3 and 26-7, relating to fire sprinklers and exceptions to fire sprinklers, providing for findings, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, providing for codification, and providing an effective date.
Thank you. Thank you. City manager, your item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Northport Fire Rescue desires to establish exceptions to the fire sprinkler and alarm systems to minimize the economic burden while not compromising the life safety of emergency response personnel and its citizens. These exceptions include commercial buildings not more than 2,000 gross square feet without commercial cooking, and an occupant load of less than 10 persons shall be excluded from this requirement. We're happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, sir. Commission, any questions, discussion? Commissioner Duval.
Yes, I did talk, it just happened I took a tour with the fire department today. City manager was there and I did ask some questions, just some verifications on these exemptions. And, I was told that these exemptions are not going to be related to like apartments where people will be, okay? It's going to be for commercial or operations for small things like bathrooms and things like that. So I'm okay with it.
Sounds good. Anything else? Mr. Langdon.
I have a very quick question. We have a lot of home-based businesses in the city of Northport. Many of those are under 2,000 square feet. How might this apply or not apply to that type of an establishment?
Scott Titus for the Fire Rescue District. So this is specific to, as it's written here, and I understand why Commissioner Duval asked the question, because when the heading, when you look fire alarms and buildings, it starts out all commercial and multifamily residential. So most of the businesses, and I'm trying to think of an example where there would be an exception to your question, but most of those do not, homes and businesses and residential homes typically don't require a residential sprinkler system. The only thing that I can think of off the top of my head, it doesn't require sprinklers, but there is, depending on the occupancy and how many children they have, I believe some of the home daycares, if they have over a certain number of children, they would still be required to have a fire alarm. So the intent of this and the way the wording is and that it went through was for when parks put a bathroom in, everything is non-combustible. It's all concrete, and it was adding a lot of cost to city projects. Some of our communities, when they put the guard shack in out front, the way the ordinance was written and the way the code is written, it really didn't give the ability to have an exception to that. There are other communities that have just said, no, you don't need it for that. They didn't go through a legal process. We thought it was best to go through a legal process and kind of define that. Construction trailers, things like that, the way that it was written right now is they would have to have that. So even for a city project, it added a lot of cost, or other projects, you know, around the city that are not city involved, added a lot of cost for them to have to do that. So now they can do a temporary use permit for like a construction trailer or something like that. As long as they keep that valid, you can extend that beyond a year. You just have to go through a process. They would not have to have a sprinkler system or something like that. So a small commercial donut store that didn't have, you know, things were cooked offsite in a commercial facility and delivered there, they wouldn't have to do it. So it's things like that. So I think from economic development standpoint, I think it's beneficial to the community. I think it makes sense to our builders. We don't think it adds any life safety risk. Those occupancies are all small enough. There's immediate access and egress, and so we were very comfortable.
Okay, great. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Anything else to that? Mr. Petro.
Chief, quick question. What about the model houses for builders? Are there's a foot traffic inside of those houses? Would those houses be required to have this
No,
system?
I don't believe they're required to do it now because it's not, even though there's a temporary office in there, it still falls under the residential code. It's a temporary thing. I will confirm that question. I don't have the code in front of me. I will have to make sure that I'm speaking correctly on that. But in the event that were the case, most of those homes, if they did put something in, I guess they wouldn't have to keep it current once that office is closed. But most of those offices are a 10 by 10 that's actually in a residential home, and there's just somebody operating out of that during the daytime. If somebody tried to apply it to this, if it was a home over 2,000 square feet and they had to have it before, then they would still have to have them. But I'm not the code expert, but I will get you an answer on that. But I don't believe that we require that even now for current ones, unless you know of an example of one. But I will look it up, get with the fire marshal, and make sure I get you an answer. But our intent, again, if they are required now in any of those, I don't think that was ever the intent that it would be. It was just that the code didn't provide any common sense to it. So when some of the builders put up those model homes, if they were required to put them in, none of their other homes in that community would have that same.
It's just a lot of those model homes or houses are larger than 2,000 square feet. So
If it was required before, and if it was greater than 2,000 square feet, then it would still be required. It would only be if it's less than 2,000 square feet. That's why we put the cutoff. We were trying to, and we did send this through the city attorney's office because we were trying to make sure there were specific parameters that kind of fell into that, because our intention is not to create a life safety hazard or complicate anything. It was to kind of apply a little bit of common sense and help some of the communities, the development of the communities on things that really did not, sprinklers, the idea of them is to save lives. So if there's a large fire risk like commercial cooking or things like that, or if it's an overnight sleeping facility that has those types of things, or commercial building over 2,000 square feet, it's a risk not only to the tenants but the firefighters if they come to fight that fire. Those were the things we were thinking about. But these smaller structures, really, that's not an issue.
I don't know if our legal team knows about this. But
didn't have my fire marshal, but I had Elena. Thank you so much. She looked it up really quick. Under Florida law, 1 and 2 family model homes are exempt. So where the language is, earlier there's one place where it says 3 or more attached. Those would be required to have it anyway. Those are all over 2,000 square feet. They fall under a different section of the code. So.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, anything else to that? No.
Thank you, Elena.
And any public comments? Then I'm going to close this public hearing, request a motion.
I'll make it. Are we using April 8th as the next meeting? Yes. For this? Okay. I move to continue ordinance number 2025-10 to second reading on April 8th, 2025.
Got a motion made by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Commissioner DeVal to continue ordinance 2025-10, the second reading on April 8th, 2025. Nothing more to that. Let us vote. And that passes 5-0. Moving on to B, Resolution 2025-R-28. City Clerk, would you be kind enough to read this by title only?
I thought we did that one.
Where am I?
It is going to be the
I'm
end of the
sorry.
meeting.
No, it's not. There we go. Good Lord.
Happens to all of us.
Okay. Okay, 25. You know what? 6A. This is that, yeah. It's out of order. 6A, General Business, A 25-2064, City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This item is discussion and possible action to direct the city manager to send a letter of support to the Sarasota County Board of Commissioners regarding the allocation of Hurricane Recovery Fund for the Suncoast Technical College. It was requested by Commissioner DeVal.
Commissioner Duval, this is your item.
Yes, each of you should have a sheet in front of you. This is an editorial that was in the Sun newspaper, our local paper, on 3/11. And I subscribe to the paper, so, I read this. And, on face value, I'm looking at this and I got the idea that, maybe we should support this money for the Suncoast College. The county commissioners are going to make a decision, as to where this money should go. I got the idea to try to get some information, and I went up to the college, and I spoke to Mr. Endy up there, and he sent me, the plans for the addition that they would use this money for. And he told me that this money would allow them to complete this addition. The college as a whole could be an economic driver for this city. They're going to be expanding their programs. They'll get into nursing. We have some hospitals actually being built here. This money would help them out. Now, that being said, I did have, some discussions with our city manager, and we already, our Suncoast College, the city has been helped out by these funds from the county already. So I guess I have to, leave it up to my fellow commissioners and myself as to, what, if anything, we should do about this. My original thought was to, send a letter to the county commissioners asking them to, consider the college that's located here. But, there are two sides to every story. So I have to look at both sides and let everyone decide for themselves what they should be doing.
Mr. Langdon.
Thank you, Mayor. I've been a huge proponent of our technical college, as everyone on this board has been. We've been enormously supportive and proactive with the school board regarding the expansion of programs here in Northport. My understanding is that expansion, in addition to adding a lot of breadth and depth to the healthcare-oriented programs offered there, that they'll also be expanding some of their manufacturing options as well. I've also had the opportunity to tour the technical college up in Sarasota, and they have quite a robust program for the industrial arts as well. So I have a couple of questions. And I guess city manager, you'd be in the best position to answer. But one question is, do we understand why the BIA feels a need to train their own, to develop their own training center for the industrial arts? Do we know if there's been any conversation between the technical colleges here in the county and the BIA?
No, I'm sorry, Commissioner.
Yeah.
I don't know that
Yeah.
interaction between those two organizations. My limited knowledge and what I read in here is only that the two entities up for the funding were at two different life cycles, two different places in their life cycles.
Right.
STC was up and ready to go, and the BIA was getting their, the feet underneath them, and that's what led to the decision of do you give the money to someone who is moving in the right direction or someone who's already there? That's about all I'm aware of.
Right, so you're also not aware, has anyone from the city of Northport had a conversation with the county commission around the funding for the BIA? I guess what I'm thinking, I certainly wouldn't be opposed to a letter of support, but I'd sort of like to see the city of Northport show a little leadership in trying to connect with the BIA. And, if the technical colleges aren't talking, it might simply be that the BIA isn't familiar with the educational programs offered by the technical school.
I would find that hard to believe, knowing that they've been talking to the county
Right.
about, it's the county program. I don't believe it's up to us to give them direction about money that they're applying for from another entity.
Should we have a conversation, should staff have a conversation with the county on that topic?
I don't believe so, but if you want us to, we will do whatever the board directs.
Yeah, I guess I'm just confused as to why the BIA felt a need to build their own center. So, I don't know. I'm mulling, done talking. Mulling.
I have a question. Is this SRQ 1 money or 2?
1 money or 2?
Is this $7.5 million?
One.
No, it's 1.
From the tranche 1 that they've received.
I got you. All right. That's the only question I had. No, it's. Anybody else? Petro.
Commissioner Duval maybe can explain, or maybe why BI wants their money, to the question Commissioner Langdon asked.
I really don't know any more than is printed on this paper. I just looked at the newness of the BIA being in the process versus our technical college that's already up and running, and especially after talking to Mr. Andes up there, this will allow them to finish this edition. I really don't know anything other than what's written here about the BIA.
As a city what is sorry, I'm a little unknowledgeable, but what is the BIA and what relationship does the city have or might the city have with this organization? City manager.
From my understanding, the city has no contact, interaction, knowledge of anything other than the BIA, other than they applied for the same grant money that STC applied for. I know Mr. John Mass, who was mentioned in the article, great guy. I know he's a great leader. I know he's working in the best interest to get his company up and running. I can't tell you why they're not as far along as maybe they thought they were, or why the commission decided at the county level to split the funding from the 15 million that they were debating on giving it to. It looked like it was a 2-2 vote. And then Mark Smith came in and said, well, let's split it. And they agreed to that. And now they're coming back and sort of reviewing that decision to give it to half and half and just maybe give it to one so they don't lose this money by not spending it in the appropriate time frame that the federal government has provided. Other than that, I have no input or information on the BIA, sir.
Just trying, I mean, other than the obvious value of helping our technical college here in the city, not having any real understanding of the other side, I just wonder, like, is this appropriate for us to put our thumb on this by sending a letter? I mean, STC is certainly advocating for themselves. And I mean, I just don't know. I mean, I certainly support STC and would be delighted if they got the money, but I just question whether or not it's appropriate for us to, like, put our thumb on the scale, so to speak. I mean, we have an awful lot of asks to the county. We have SRQ2 coming, which is, you know, hopefully Northport will be looked on favorably, even though the vast majority of the damage that was done was further up into the county. I'd like to think that we'll see some of that money down here for one or a number of things. And, you know, is this political capital we wish to expend by putting our thumb on this? And, you know, what reason other than we're just trying to help STC? I don't know. I'm really ambivalent about it. I mean, I don't know. Commissioner Petro?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Still there. I
Vice
mean,
Mayor?
it doesn't hurt to ask.
Yeah, the thing about this is I'm in support of sending a letter up there. It's a letter of support. We're not asking them to give money. We're not getting in their plate and saying, you have to do this, but we're supporting our resources within our own backyard that we have supported time and time again that is beneficial to our citizens within Northport that could get this training to work at our local hospitals, that could work at our local, whatever classes they may take, AC or mechanics or whatever the case may be out there. And to just say, hey, yes, we support that money coming here. We're not asking them to do that. We just support that money coming here because it's ours. So to be questioning, do we want them to do that or not? It's to me, it's a no-brainer. Let's just say, yeah, we support you giving us money. If they don't, they don't. That's on them. But we support them giving SCT money. That's all I'm looking at.
Mr. Langdon?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still mulling. It's just my gut is telling me we only have part of the story. We don't know the full story. So I personally would like to have more of a feel for what the argument is or what the proposal is on the other side before wading into it. I mean, the county commission is set to discuss it on April 22nd. I mean, maybe one or more of us should go to that meeting and maybe learn more about, you know, what's really happening here. I'm just a little reluctant to wade into a situation and take sides when I really don't understand the full context of what's
Especially based
going
on an
on.
article.
Yeah.
Bothered me.
Yeah. I mean, and please don't misunderstand me. I am a rabid supporter of our technical college. I think my comments and behaviors in the past really underscore that. And I really applaud Commissioner Duval bringing this forward. I wasn't quite aware of what was going on with the SRQ money, but I'd just like to have a better handle on the context for what's going on here before I sort of wade into the fray.
I just, you know, part of where my head was at in hesitating a little is flipping the roles. What if another municipality or a county weighed in on, and the roles were reversed, and we, as the decision makers, had much more knowledge and understanding as to the reasons why we might go a different direction. And yet here's another municipal party or governmental entity weighing in on a subject that they really don't have a clue about. So that's what it's bothering me a little. But I support the SCC. I mean, obviously, what the points Pete make are so compelling. You just want to say, yeah, it's only a letter, like just, but I don't really know what's going on with this issue.
If
Why
I
are
may,
we?
Mayor, I think we're sort of in the same place. And yeah, it has happened to the city, you know, where people have weighed in on what's going on here without having good command of the facts, and we don't like it when that happens, you know? So I just sort of like to have a better sensing of the context.
You know what? Possibly the resolution to this would be, because they may well make a decision at their meeting, so if we put it off, we wouldn't get to say our piece. Perhaps depending on the substance of the letter, it might, if it's, depends on how it's drafted and what it says, maybe it's, you know, it's fine. If it conveys the intent Vice Mayor is looking for and Commissioner Duval is looking for, and at the same time is gentle enough and not intrusive enough, if that's the right word, then maybe there's nothing to this and it's a range, like Vice Mayor says. Is it worth having it drafted and taking a look? I mean, if staff gets a flavor of where our heads are at on this, and let him draft it and see what it looks like, and we approve it or disapprove it or amend it. City Manager? Any
Well,
thoughts?
I was just going to point out, is the mayor going to sign the letter, or am I going to sign the letter?
Well, if you get the signed price, then you got to sign this.
Okay.
No, I'm only kidding.
That was a good one. Too soon, but that was a good one. Because if I'm signing it, then we're happy to draft it. But if you're signing it, then the clerk needs to draft it on your behalf.
I got you.
So that's why it matters who signs it.
Now that's a whole nother subject to discuss.
Yeah,
Oh, shit.
We'll have a pen right now.
Oh, my goodness. What do you guys think? Oh, I'm sorry, Vice Mayor. I'm trying not to look at you. Vice Mayor.
No, you're not. No, it's, again, you know, if they're gonna be discussing it here coming up, time may not be on our side to get, like you said, to get our opinion in, and that's just it, it's an opinion. You know, we're putting the support in for SCT, and to not do this, to me, I think is a shame. And that's just my opinion, and I understand both sides, but they're actually gonna make the decision. They can go, oh, wait a minute, the Orr report says we got it. They don't do it that way. They're gonna make their decision.
We have time to get this back before they have their discussion?
Follow the bouncing ball.
Hell, I'm sorry, Bill, you just be sick that day.
Well, when's their meeting?
The
22nd.
22nd.
You meet again on April 8th.
So we have time. We have time.
But I did have the floor before you rudely checked it. I'm
By
done.
nature.
I'm done, sorry, it's okay.
Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. I move to direct the city manager to construct a letter of support to the Sarasota County Board of Commissioners regarding the allocation of hurricane recovery funds for the Suncoast Technical College and bring it back to this commission on April 8th, 2025 for review. That work for everybody?
No. Mr. Vice Mayor.
We're gonna have a long conversation in Tallahassee, sir.
Well, it's going nowhere without a second.
I'll second that.
All right. City Clerk, would you be kind enough to read that motion back since I
to direct the city manager to draft a letter of support to the Suncoast County Board of Commissioners regarding the allocation of hurricane recovery funds for the Suncoast Technical College and bring back to commission on April 8, 2025 for review.
That was made by Vice Mayor, seconded by Commissioner Duval. There's nothing else to it. Let's vote.
You are prepared, aren't you, Julie? Just ask.
Sacred cow, sacred cow.
And that passes 5-0. Done. With that, we're on to general public comment, I do.
There's none.
Excellent. We move on to Commissioner Communications. Anybody wishing to communicate? Commissioner Duval?
Yes, again, I did tour our Fire Station 81 today, had a great chat with Fire Chief and some of his assistants. And again, you know, like I told them, I'm very impressed with our fire department, our EMS, and our police department.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Langdon, we already know,
I will be asking
Correct.
city clerk to post my activity support to the agenda of our first meeting in April.
there you go. Vice Mayor. Commissioner Petro.
No, I have nothing.
Yeah, since last meeting, I'm the same. I don't have anything to communicate. So with that, we look to administrative and legal. City manager, got anything for us?
No, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Acting city attorney? And city clerk?
I don't have anything, thank you.
Yowza. Well, with that, unless we want to try to find something else to talk about, it's 6:51, and I'll adjourn this meeting.